Hello, Narnach here. Welcome back to Path of Exile. Playing in the Fall of Oriath beta. Have just completed Act 4 and defeated the Labyrinth. Malachi lies dead, Izara lies dead. And the Ascent exit from town is a new thing. So let's explore and get started on either the new end of Act 4 or the beginning of Act 5. So there's probably going to be some more voice acting here. So let's dial up the dialogue volume a bit. Might be very loud, but of course all the new lore things, I do want to capture it. Risen Jaeger, Vendigo, Mountain Hounds, Blackguard Jaegers. So, Vendigo, what do? We were basically just butchering things left and right, but maybe we should actually just have a stop and let's have a bit of a look and see what do the new mobs do. Not a lot of damage against a sustain build, at least like this. There's an upside to that. I think I saw some frost things here, but generally it's not that scary. Yeah, the clone of myself comes from the Word of Reflection. That copies myself into a copy that does quite a bit of damage. That's gonna be fun. Hey, that's a more int lappies. Hey, something is shooting orbs. Alpine Shaman casts Ice Spear. So no longer are the goats all fire related. Goats in the snow do cold damage. Makes me wonder, looking ahead a little bit, do goats in a swamp do poison damage? Ah, you want to die as well. So these mountain hounds don't burst into flame, which of course does make sense, but what they actually do doesn't seem to be all that clear. Ooh, Lordly Blade. And we gained level. More Jaegers. Unwavering, gain a reflect elemental damage. Okay. Well, we don't do elemental damage, so reflect is not too bad. Okay, so let's have a look. We were on our way to a butchery. Increase our damage even further. So let's just try to do as much full cleary passes through the areas as possible, just so we don't miss no guaranteed uniques or side areas or things of that nature. So it's going to be something there. There's a bridge. I think the bridge might be a link to the next part of the map. So let's see if we can stick to this side of the bridge first. Also, just thinking back, currently the mission here says Snow climb the Ascent and find the portal back to Oriath. I don't think any part of the lore actually explained that to us. We can't jump over a cliff. So the bridge does seem to be the way forward. So before we cross over, let's clear this side. Because it might be that there is a guaranteed unique here that is just hiding off to the side somewhere. Hey, a couple of huts. This is where the goat people live. And interesting. It's a lift of sorts. But we did clear everything on this side, so that means we can move forward and across the bridge. Let's Fist Reflect, let's be slightly careful. Okay, Fist Reflect for us at this point, it's not scary at all. Damage from this many mobs around us is much scarier. Oh, also, yeah, our resists are still good. We haven't incurred a resistance penalty of any sort yet. And that's probably because technically this is still part of Act 4. Though the resistance penalties are now tied to in-game events rather than just crossing over to new areas, but no, just making sure here that we don't accidentally incur something. This is still part of Act 4. It's the final part of Act 4. Okay, and this is just a dead end. Cool. So far the cold shummies are the most noticeable foes. These things, there's not a lot happening. Well, there's some poison that got applied to me. Yeah, so they shoot caustic arrows and they inflict some poison. Okay. I see a corrupted area off to the side there. Okay, there are some frost explosions, but they don't seem to correspond one-on-one with the dogs dying, so that's a little weird. Or something that's left to be explored, might be a better way to put it. 30% monster increased fire resistance. Okay, corrupt cold area, that is nice. I think for each of the areas they planned to add corrupted bosses and things like that, specific to the areas. Okay. But but I think they were not in there yet. So it could be that this is going to be a repeat of a known boss rather than a new one. And if that's the case, that is because they don't have the bosses in yet. Okay, it's eerily quiet in here. Hello? Anybody out here? And there are the vowel constructs. Dire wolves that use puncture, so they actually inflict bleeding. That is lovely as well. It is nice if bleeding and poison get used by more regular mobs, so there are conditions that you actually can get used to and no by default have flasks for it to get rid of. On the other hand, as long as we're leeching, we're immune to bleeding, so it doesn't really matter for this particular build. And there's a lore bit over there, so that means the boss fight is near. Maxed out a heavy belt, that is nice. Hallowed mana. And Quatsuxi, that's the boss from the Dried Lake side area. So indeed, this is just a repeat. We got a Vaal haste for our efforts. So, back on the Ascent. Okay, there's more camps. There's a small path leading forwards. This has the look of it maybe being the way forward. Just double check. Yeah, it just gets bigger there. So again, as we did before with the bridge, let's just backtrack a little bit and clear more of the surrounding areas.
I can't do this just yet.
Hey, Skinny asks, are new skills already implemented into the game? I haven't seen anything. I did see that on Reddit there was some data mining of some data they found in the client, but as far as I know, officially there are no new skills in the game yet. They might get added at a future date, but for now all we have is the new axe, the new minimap and things like that. Ooh. Hello there, the White Death. Let's have a look. Okay, so this one is using Flicker Strike. That's pretty cool. So if you want to run away from it, and Blade Vortex. It's quick, it resists cold, and it's dead pretty quickly as well. Risen Jaegers. Okay. Well, things don't really stop at death here. Ooh. Yes, please. Yeah, we can shuffle things around. Level 42 Hussar Brigandine with a 4-link. Oh, yes, please. Let's have a look. Is there anything else in here? At least we found one new mini-boss. The White Death. I'm sure there's going to be many more. Most of the time each area has some unique boss in it, so I'm gonna try to find them all. I wonder if in the when 3.0 goes live with the accompanying league, if the challenge is gonna involve killing all of the named uniques in from here forward. So starting with the White Death and then every other named unique through the rest of the acts. Would be interesting to have that as a set of challenges, just so people get to experience the full extent of all the new content while pursuing all of those challenges. And it's a nice checklist to see if you have or have not encountered certain content yet, or if you've not done everything. Okay, so these Jaegers are alive. We've also seen Risen Jaegers, so it's a interesting mix of things. And just look, now we've been outlining the just tracing the outlines of the map. And now in the middle there's just this little bit that we haven't explored yet. And we can just run through and then see, ta-da, we have actually explored everything, so then we know we can push forward. But before we do that, let's actually empty our pockets. So then we can pick up even more loot.
What do you need now?
Let's see, that's wasn't it a lower tier? No, it's actually a higher tier. 300 mana, 7 seconds, that's not a terribly great amount. Arena Blade, 5 sockets but not linked. It's better than what I have in terms of armor, but all other stats are worse. And again, not linked, so we'll just go rid of it.
Where you are needed.
And then for the stuff that is potentially useful, let's just put it in. And then let's get back to the Ascent. Okay, next area. Where does this take us? Ah, and there we have a quest. A lever! Resonator instructions, so.
Captain Tavares. Altitude is imperative to forging a stable connection with the prime resonator in Theopolis. Power source is equally vital. Locate a fissure in the mountainside and lower a conductive cable into it. The deeper, the better. It will take an immense amount of thaumaturgical energy to execute the successful disintegration and transmission of objects, both inanimate and animate, between Highgate and Theopolis. For that kind of power, we must tap the origin. I needn't remind you of the consequences, should either of those elements prove deficient. That is why I would like you, Tavares, to be the first to test the resonator once it is operational. Accountability is a perfect counterweight to ambition. High Templar Dominus.
Aha. Activate the resonator. And then we get a portal. What? We don't actually have to put a cable in or anything? Anything else around here? Okay, nothing else. So let's go. Oriath. Boom. This feels like a missed opportunity to come in crouching Terminator style. But it looks pretty badass though. Act 5. Wait, why is this blinking? I don't think I really want to be there. It was just blinking. Okay, cool. Okay, so we are in the slave pens in Act 5. Level 41 area. Resistances still haven't been touched. So let's explore. Let's see what this is all about. Everybody is hostile. Well, we'll just kill them. Interesting, just red crosses on the floor. From the looks of it, it's blood. It's also the bit of the symbology of the Fall of Oriath expansion, the red cross. But it's fun to see. It's repeated in multiple places. I wonder if it will have any significant meaning besides just being just easy to just splosh all over the place. Let's see, so it looks like this is the way forward. There was a room over there. Let's just double back a little bit to see that it was indeed just a dead end rather than another way forward. On the other hand, could be that there are indeed multiple ways through, and exactly. Well, we will be doing as full a clear as possible here. So I'll be going slow and steady and just having a look at everything. That's a support chief. Let's see, increase quantity, cost the clouds, sure. Okay, you're hiding behind the box, but that doesn't really matter. Oh, fuse, nice. Also some partially destructible terrain, that was fun. Okay, so now we have something that leads there, and this seems like it might actually be just looping around, so let's investigate if that is indeed the correct theory. Then this might connect back there. Well, it might be that this is a big sprawling area and it just goes all over the place. I mean, not all areas have to have an efficient layout. Even though efficient layouts tend to be a bit more pleasant to play through. Life, no resists. At least this indeed doubles back the way I expected it to. So there's just lots of bouncy little things. And there's a door. So the truth extractors, they throw discs. I wonder if they also inflict bleeding. Difficult to see with this because of course as a slayer we're kind of bleed immune while we're leeching, which is most of the time. Let's see, Sacred Life. Might as well identify it. Okay, charge recovery, sure. Not a bad prefix to have. Oh wait, nice doggy. A Purge Hound, may inflict maim. Reduced movement speed from being maimed. So that makes it more difficult to flee. Oh, wait. No one will remain alive. May inflict a vulnerability on hit. That's also interesting. Just a matter of not getting hits, then you're not going to be in too much trouble. Okay, now that I door forward. Ah, and a bit like the arena, no stuff coming out of a door. See if we can just crank up the music a bit, because of course each area has their own music. Just to experience it a little bit more to its fullest extent. Okay. Ah. So a very ominous kind of hum kind of thing. It's not really music, it's more like a just background sound. Okay, this doesn't look like a very happy place. Then again, they're the slave pens, they're not really meant to be a happy place. Okay, shield barricades. Just behind it imply we can go there. Oh, wait, there's a little passage over there. Maybe we can walk around. Okay, that's not the case either. Okay, interesting. Makes me wonder if we actually can make it over there, or whether that's just part of the map generating that's doing interesting things. Okay, peace we gained another level. Now one level ahead of the content, that's back to comfy territory. Rather than being under-leveled all the time. Let's see. 1200 comes 1370. More damage. I like it. Hey, Ghosty. Tormented Warlord. Okay, that one's not tormenting anyone anymore. Okay. There's definitely quite some damage going on. I'm pretty happy I went with a build that seems to provide a decent amount of sustain. So even if surrounded, that's not going to be the end of the world. I mean, if you're a more fragile caster, just having things jump on top of you, especially the dogs with maim, that could be interesting, potentially problematic. Because simply having high movement speed alone is not going to help you disengage from fights like that, because you need to cure the maim. And unless they've added new kinds of flasks, I don't think you can actually cure maim. Ah, breakable wolfings. Actually, next time we encounter one of those. Okay, so this is breakable on the map. It's actually pretty clearly indicated indeed as just an open wall. So that is good. The map just shows exactly how it works. If you can go through, it shows you can go through. So there's no way up there. This is just some background decoration. But no, again, the map having small doors there, it feels like it implies you could go there, but the lines that indicate where and where you cannot go, they do show you what's the actual reality. Okay, they did invoke a vulnerability. Ooh, kill Overseer Crow. Hello there, Mr. Crow. Okay, that's lightning orbs. It's like a... Let's see, what kind of damage does he do? Not terribly impressive. Keep in mind, regenerating 135 life per second here. But this guy is pretty ignorable. Only one level over leveled, so I don't think it's too weird. This is just a hello, welcome to town kind of deal. So we got the Overseer's Tower. We did skip some parts over here and some parts over there. And judging by the rooms, there might actually be some stuff going around it. But well, we did find the boss, so for now we'll just push forward. And then we have found ourselves in the Overseer's Tower, the Act 5 town. Yeah. Navali made our way here. Utula. Okay, so now, lore time. Let's chat with everybody.
Ha! After everything I've done, it took an Oriathan to get these slaves up off their shackled asses and fighting. I guess the Templar should have treated their lessers better than their slaves, eh? Well, I'm not about to turn down a gift from Kitava. If he wants slave and outcast to join hands, then let's remind these Templar that they're flesh and blood, just like us. Utulamakora is what they call me. I'm what passes for a chief around here. Well, I put the steel in their hands. I tell them where to stab, where to run, where to die. If that doesn't make me a chief, what does, eh? Blood isn't the only currency we need to earn to buy our freedom. We can kill all the Templar mongrels we like out there. It won't matter a damn if we don't get inside their stronghold, the Templar courts. Might as well put my bloody chains back on right now. Problem is, there's some sort of witchery surrounding the place. Only those who see the truth with faithful eyes are getting in there. The power of innocence. It's all in the eyes, you see.
Interesting.
Yet blessed Kitava has answered my prayers and sent us just the pair of eyes we need. The ever-faithful Justicar Casticus. He's there in the control blocks right now, smiting my people with self-righteous fury. Find him and rip his faithful eyes out. Then I'm sure the good Justicar will be kind enough to see you into the Templar courts.
That's twisted. That's twisted. It's ripping someone's eyes out in order to get in. It's almost like a bad action movie or something. Slave pens, let's do all the lore.
Take a deep breath. Inhale the twin stink of exploitation and oppression. Yes, these pens and cells have been our home away from home since the first Karui were brought here by Marseus Lionai, their great hero of the Empire. One of the best slavers they ever had. Not that he was the only one. Captain Sigmund Fairgraves funded many an expedition off the whipped backs of Karui children. High Templar Dominus was only the latest in a long line of men to grow rich by trading in misery. Oriathan wealth was built on Karui poverty. Oriathan gold will forever be stained red by Karui blood.
Okay. Bit of tension here between the Oriathans and the Karui.
Overseer's Tower, this place is called. And do you know the worst thing about the men who stood here, watching us, cursing us, descending to whip and kick us like curs? They were slaves, like us, willing to turn on their brethren for a bigger cage and a few extra rations. I can't quite put into words what a pleasure it was to take this tower, to rip the greedy eyes from those traitors. Did they see it coming? I hope so.
Why is he so obsessed with ripping eyes out of people's head? Oh well, everybody has their own fetish. Kitava, yes, he mentioned that before.
Well, I know his other names. The Black Spirit, the Cannibal King, the Ravenous One. He was all of those things before Tsukuhama slashed out his eyes, before Valakor drowned him in the sea, before Hinekora whipped him and condemned him to immortal darkness. Kitava has learned from the suffering inflicted upon him, learned what cruelty is from his own flesh and blood, learned what it means to be a slave. Now he hungers for freedom, not merely for himself, for all of us who have suffered under whip and shackle. Kitava is the tormented one, destined to rise up from the darkness and banish cruelty from this world, and we, his children, rise with him.
Okay, so Kitava basically seems to be like the ultimate slave god. No, just being kicked and eyes stabbed out and everything. So the slaves who's been horribly mistreated really sympathize with Kitava. That's an interesting parallel there. Let's have a look what they have to say about innocence.
Old Red Eyes. He's been quiet for a long time. And just like Kitava and Tsukuhama, all of the old gods. Now Innocence has woken up, and with him, power like I've never seen the Templar wield before. It's all right though. We slaves, we've got our own god looking out for us now. I can see him in the eyes of my brothers and sisters, smell him in the blood we've spilled, hear his call in the screams of the fallen. I don't rightly know where the gods have been or what's brought them crawling back, nor do I really care. All I need to know, my friend, is that we're not alone anymore.
Okay, so the gods are real now. That's something that the transition from Act 4 to the Ascent to here is not. It's not been shown, not been explained, but here we hear first about it. So I wonder if more is gonna get added to it, or if it's just something that we will discover as we actually walk around here.
There's two parts to the Templar. The grim face and the spotty ass. Out front you've got the Templar courts. Usually the last place our Hatungos see if they're stupid enough to preach their craft within a Templar's hearing. Oriath's woodmongers must do a roaring trade with that place. When the wind blows right, you can even smell the aroma of barbecued blasphemer from here. The arse end, that's the Chamber of Innocence. It's where the real earnest believing gets done. Where the young Templar go to pay their respects to God Almighty and get the good sense baptized out of their heads. I've not seen the inside of the chamber myself, but you can feel it from over a block away. Like there's an eye in your gut, peering through your insides, looking for even the tiniest stain of sin. I tell you, sane people go in one end of that place, ash and apostles come out the other. Watch yourself in there.
Okay, sounds like a happy place. High Templar Avarius.
With Dominus away in Rayclast, someone had to keep the wheels of oppression turning. Avarius was only too happy to take the job. It had plenty of practice already, of course. It was Avarius who led some of the largest and most crippling raids upon the Ngāmakanui and the Ngākura McCoy. It was on his orders that men, women and children were shackled and shipped like cattle to Theopolis. And it was Avarius who spent 5,000 Karui lives building his Templar courts and his Chamber of Innocence. Who had wives and daughters scrub their husbands' and fathers' blood from the stones so as to preserve their purity. When you meet Avarius, feel free to exact a little extra vengeance in the name of Karui's suffering.
Okay, so Avarius, definitely not the nicest fella around. So that's all the dialogues done for this dude. So let's just use the opportunity to empty our pockets here. And then onwards to the next bit of dialogues. Mustache. Kura. Wait, maybe I should put him in there, like that. Okay, next up, Lani. Who are you?
An exile returned. How is that even possible? Rising out of the darkness to claim the souls of our enemies, like Hinekora in the stories my mother used to tell me. Well, your divine intervention gave us just the diversion we needed to take this tower. So if you keep doing things like that, then I might have to start believing in the gods again.
Ooh.
And thank you for finishing off that last overseer for us. I don't know what sort of mother could have birthed that land-loving whale, but we were lucky he wasn't here when we took this tower. He'd have spread us across the floor like butter on a piece of bread. Here, take something for helping us in this hopeless fight of ours.
Okay. Ooh. Nearly perfect rings and perfect hybrid rings. I like it. So, which of these two rings is... Okay, this is the lowest item level. That's fire and lightning, so let's go for that. Let's see what we got. A little extra fire resist. No life, no mana. Do get a little bit of extra damage, but meh, not really an improvement. So, let's listen to more lore.
We'd been planning it for months. Spreading the word, stealing weapons, gathering support. Utula and his followers did most of the dirty work. I just carried a few messages here and there. Should have known I'd end up like this when the real fighting started. In the darkest hour before dawn, That's when we broke our chains. And as many overseer necks as we could wrap our hands around. We took the Panopticon as the sun rose over Theopolis, and that's as far as we got. When you're up against cold steel and colder hearts, there's only so far that anger will take you.
The voiceover called it a panopticon. The text only mentioned it as a tower, but a panopticon, I think it's a kind of prison where in the middle you got a tower and that just has a good overview of all the area around it. Actually does make sense. Pretty horrible though.
Few of us can say that we've devoted our lives to anything greater than ourselves. Can you? I think Utula can. Since the day I met him, I've seen Utula do nothing that wasn't in the service of his people. He's a smart one. He could have escaped. He could have sailed off to Narnach and never looked back. Yet there he stands, our herald of freedom. I might die of this wound, yet I'd be giving but a fraction of what Utula has to honor the Karui way.
The names of places and gods, they're still interesting. Like the Namakanui, things like that. There's more letters than sounds in there, but of course Maori tradition and things like that. So this is the vendor, and yeah, we don't have any regret orbs, so can't do much with that. Next up, Vilenta.
Unlike these assorted ignorami, I'm not surprised to see you here. The beast is dead, all thanks to you, I suppose. I was listening to the beast's death rattles when these lunatics broke in, wrecked the place, and dragged me here to tend to their cuts and bruises. Thankfully, I was able to bring some of my paraphernalia with me. The balance of power is shifting in your favor, O murderer of nightmares. If I am in possession of anything that might smooth the transition of governance, don't hesitate to ask. You'll find my terms quite reasonable. Some time ago, I fabricated a device able to sense and amplify the corrupt murmurings of Rayclast. A miasmeter. I listened to those whispers for years, lingering beyond sane comprehension. And then the scream. Such profound agony that my mind was nearly sundered by its percussion. I thought another cataclysm might be upon us. But no, it was you, slaying the beast. I was witness to a singularly potent cadence. This corruption, I am convinced that it holds the very key to our human history, and with it, our very existence. Yet without the miasmeter, I'm condemned to deafened ignorance. It remains in Piety's laboratory, as long as Utula's miscreants haven't vandalized the poor thing. Find it.
Piety's laboratory, you say? Will this be another Piety fight that's gonna be in store for us?
I gave Piety everything. Devoted my life to her work. What did that thankless bitch do for me in return? Left me here to polish her beakers while she pursued glory in Rayclast. Oh. You killed her, did you? Likely as not, you'd have killed me too had I been there. In that case, perhaps we both got exactly what we deserved.
No love for Piety then.
In contrast to the company she keeps, Lani has quite an astute mind. I put it down to that Oriathan education she's managed somehow to procure. Whilst quelling whatever resistance you might meet in this noble coup of yours, you'd be well advised to look to Lani for counsel. She'd make the finest of advisors, second only to myself, of course.
Humble. Very humble, Vilenta. Also, what's with her hand? Is that a... Oh, she's just carrying a tool. I thought it was like a hook attached to the hand or something, but it's just a tool she's carrying.
Utula might appear to conduct himself with honesty and honor, yet has all the telltale signs of a desperate man born of desperate times. As the cornered animal will bite and claw, the cornered man will lie, steal, and murder in the name of survival. It's understandable, and deadly if underestimated. I can't really fault Justicar Casticus, a man committed heart and soul to upholding the law. Of course, law isn't the same thing as justice, and men like Casticus lack the imagination necessary to make that distinction. Avarice, innocence. I'm not sure there's a great deal of difference. Around the time I heard the beast's mortal scream, the newly appointed High Templar Avarius went through something of a revelation. The manner in which he speaks and acts now would indicate that he believes, without doubt, that he is some earthly embodiment of God. That's faith for you. It'll reduce grown men to the madness of infancy.
Okay, didn't Dominus have a similar kind of deal as well when he was also kind of convinced that he was a god, I think. So I wonder if we go back, if we might encounter Dominus in another form again, similarly to Avarius, or whether they're just all religious lunatics.
Piety and I have devoted ourselves to the betterment of the human condition. As for our methods, Piety had a saying that summed it up nicely. Would you consider the feelings of the stones when constructing a glorious cathedral in the name of God? Casticus supplied us with slaves, mostly Kardui, and I put them to good use. In fact, I believe their participation in my experiments elevated them from squalor to splendor. Our subjects were able to give their otherwise meaningless lives to something greater than themselves. Isn't that what we all want in the end?
Okay, that got very dark in a very innocent presentation really quickly.
Some time ago, I fabricated a device able to sense and amplify the corrupt murmurings of Rayclast, a miasmeter. I listened to those whispers for years, lingering beyond sane comprehension. And then the scream. Such profound agony that my mind was nearly sundered by its percussion.
Wait, we already listened to that. It's part of the quest. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, now we can hear the opinion of Vilenta.
I'd be dead right now if not for Vilenta. I just hope I live long enough to repay her. And how will I do that? By talking Utula out of his inclination to slice Vilenta's throat open. As far as I'm concerned, our pasts are as broken as our chains.
No love there. Now we have the opinion of the others.
Lani's a pretty tough girl for a half-blood. Her mother was Karui, but her father, a lord with a nose for island flowers. Despite that Oriathan stain in her blood, Lani risked her life time and time again, slipping us the information that she bore between the lords and ladies of Theopolis. Honestly couldn't have put the pieces of this uprising together without her. And she's a fighter. Struck down 2 overseers before a third managed to put that scratch on her. Don't worry, it won't slow her down for long. Not Lani.
Okay.
If it weren't for Lani, I'd have cut that bitch's throat the moment I met her. But Vilenta seems to know her medicine, so she gets to live. Until Lani is better. Then Vilenta will answer for her crimes against us.
He harbors a little bit of a grudge. Let's go with that. Okay, into the control blocks we go. So, slave catchers, that's the thing. Karui rebel. It's nearly dead. Now it is dead. Okay, cool. cool as in it was kind of body blocking me, so I don't really sad to see him go. Let's see. Yep. Okay, and it already starts branching out. We can go forward, we can go sideways, and we can go downstairs. Can we jump? Yes, we can.
A worthy opponent!
Wait. Okay. And then we go up again. Hey, that's a net thrower. Ah, yeah, slave catcher. That kind of makes sense. He's throwing nets to catch me. But I'm very curious to see where the story is gonna go. Because, well, it's always been told in scattered bits and pieces. And no, the further you get in, the worse it gets. But apparently, killing Malachi, and by extension, the beast, unleashed the gods. Well, we kind of had some spoilers, right, with the trailers and things like that. But now they're explaining it in game, so that's nice. That actually makes it canon. Okay, let's just close the loop back to where we came from. So nice, so that we can actually see where we have and haven't been. Also, some of these broken things in here as quality of life things to just jump up and down. That is also a nice touch. So the tone of the music here is different from what it was before. The slave pens before the town were just had some more background music, some slightly ominous sounding, and here it's the music has more of a almost like an epic feel to it. Still some hints of stuff is coming, but yeah, it's a bit more uplifting than what we had before. Okay, that looked like it was not possible, so we'll just see if we can work our way around. Let's actually have a bit of a look at the minimap here. Just make it a little bit more transparent, just to fade the background out a bit more so the outlines stand out more. So it really is clear where we can and cannot go, because this actually, it has a very tiny thing we could go through. So let's see if this is going to be a dead end, then we know that was actually the way forward and I misjudged it. But it was a very narrow gap, so it was easy to miss. And indeed, this is a full clear on this end. So now we can just run forward. Okay, now we want to head upstairs again. Jump there. Yes, exactly. And indeed, there is a door here. It was easy to miss, especially if you're looking from downstairs. Okay. This looks pretty closed off, so then we have to walk around. Okay, some Kauri rebels and some slaves. And this one actually survived a bit better than the previous ones. And there is a quest thing. Experimental supplies. Okay, can we jump? Yes, we can. Mia's meter. We shall peer at these cosmic wonderments as they wake and writhe within that deep and nameless dark. Valenta, Mia's meter, a thesis. Okay. So let's just port back and just see what she has to say, and more importantly, what the heck does a Mia's meter do for us?
I simply can't express how wondrous it is to see you. What? No, not you, Exile. The miasmeter. The hope of humanity lies in this beautiful device and the precious knowledge it shall divulge. Far more useful than an accidental hulk of meat and instinct like yourself. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised to discover that your slaying of the beast correlates directly to the strife we must currently suffer. At least you've proved useful enough to return the miasmeter to me. That deserves some small reward, I suppose.
And we get a passive skill point. Let's see. So damage is pretty decent. I think I'd like to get a couple more life points, so let's just go head into that direction.
Freedom comes to those who fight.
No new dialogue options, so we just go on. But a skill point is a skill point. This is Piety's old lab. Just some glowy bits. Probably not a nice place if you were one of the Karui. Because I can't imagine many of them got out alive. Indoctrinated slave, truth extractor. So it may inflict vulnerabilities, not a guarantee on hit. Also, of course, if you kill them before they can hit you, then it doesn't really matter. That's one of the, maybe one of the downsides of this build. It seemed to be relatively tanky and pretty decent at dealing damage. So gauging how strong each opponent is a bit difficult if you can tank through most encounters. Okay, just a little side room. Hello there, Arctic Golem. Goodbye, Arctic Golem. Oh, also looking at a gem drop. The magic vendor did not have a second tab for gems, so it's not that gems will be unlocked by default here. It would have seemed like, from a convenience perspective, it seemed useful. On the other hand, well, from a lore perspective, this is nope. Basically, their slaves that just broke out, letting them have a fully complete stash of gems. From a lore perspective, seems weird. Okay, there's again a bit of passage up there. Can we get in? Also, there's some things here that have not been murdered yet. That's okay. Movement speed is reduced while standing in the net. Makes sense. You're struggling to get out, of course. And that, yes, exactly. This is why we can jump up. So having a movement skill here that allows you to traverse the heights, definitely useful. Oh, well, there's a staircase here. It's useful, but it's not mandatory. That's probably the best way to phrase it. So it seems like if you take the upper passages, you can actually bypass a lot of monsters, because most of them do seem to be on the lower grounds rather than on the upper grounds. Okay, we do seem to have transitioned into the next area. At least rather than being in the prison area, this seems to be more like a slaughtering grounds of sort. So vulnerability, bleeding, we have everything. Okay, that is a dead end. There's something blue and glowy there. Oh wait, isn't that where we came in then? Yeah, that's where we came in. Oh, nice. So we've gone full circle here. Kill the Justicar. Casticus. So what do? Besides, okay, that's some bloody looking slashes, but no bleeding is actually invoked. He's channeling stat. Are those bloody bats? Definitely has a bit of a blood obsession. So if you're not very tanky, this might be a tougher fight than in our case, because we're just powering through. And that gets us a Eyes of Zeal. Indeed, we just ripped out his eyes. Blazing with holy flame, the pilgrim saw a great place descend from the burgeoning sky, its gates barred against the unfaithful. So, if you carry the correct eyes, you can pass. Let's see about that. But before that, let's just go. There was just a bit more prison there, but meh. Most likely we cleared everything. And oh, trying to do a full clear, sure, but backtracking too far, that's also going to be a bit too much. But before we push too far, let's actually go back to town and see about our reward.
Thank you. By killing Casticus, you've given us a fighting chance. And about his eyes, I'm sorry you had to do that. Yet although Utula's solution might seem brutal, I've seen Karui men blinded with a hot poker, simply for looking a fraction too long at an Oriathan lady. Yes, this is war. And just a little revenge, too. Take something. A token of our thanks.
Flasks. Okay, Hallowed Life, Hallowed Mana, Colossal Hybrid, Quicksilver, Stibnite and Silver Flask. Okay. Well, don't mind if I take a Stibnite. Okay, still no gems, also no utility flasks. So currently this is just some movement and some utility, but nothing truly affecting combat. So let's have a look. Can probably just drop it in and not have too many issues. This wasn't very great, so let's just put it away. Hussar Brigandine, what's that? Exactly, 42, 43. Actually, do we have a Orb of Alchemy? That gets us a support gem. So let's actually do some gem shopping. And another essence. Which one is it? Suffering. On the body armor, it gives us a chance to avoid cold damage when hit. Okay. This one gives us a poor life roll. Currently we have a fair life roll, but it can be much better. Let's actually use this one. I was going to say instead, but maybe we should just apply that stuff first. Strength, dex, and oh wait, minimum level tiers. Okay, so we ruined that one.
You need something?
Oh, we'll find something else. I think we actually had another one. Yeah, we had. Okay, so that's odd that you can actually raise the level requirement to a tier of that's tied to an essence. That it almost sounds like the essence is dropping too early or has some weird influence of the level requirement. Okay. So we had an inherent life roll as well as a hybrid life and stun resist roll and a little bit of resists. So that's a piss poor roll, unfortunately. So it goes in, that one goes in. Let's see. Is there anything slightly more useful? Increased duration, sure, I can settle for that. Additional elemental resists, sure. And at least we have a Stip Knight for just blinding stuff around us, just increasing survivability even more. Control blocks, we will get back to you soon enough. But right now I do want to get a cast when damage taken gem from here. So cast when damage taken. Excellent. Put it in there.
Bye.
Okay, so let's see, level 40, 40, 42. So this one needs to level a bit before it actually picks up the golem, but that's going to be soon enough. Okay, because this one is glowing, it really keeps encouraging me to actually go there, but I must resist the temptation to click on the glowy bits and go back to the control blocks before the instance resets. Okay, so Molten Shell is no longer manually cast, that's just a nice quality of life improvement. And once the cast when damage taken levels up, then the golem is just going to be part of that as well. Okay. Right now, with our current damage output and only a single hybrid mana leech node, it seems like we are mana stable with Viper Strike. So that's a nice improvement. Okay, and it looks like we are now getting out of here. Oriath Square. And a waypoint. Lovely. Okay. So just crisscrossing through. Let's have a look here. Oh, there's some friends and there's some foes. Okay, Temple Guardian, you're throwing your weapons. That's a frightened citizen who is hostile? What? Let's follow. No, Golem. Golem. Just have a look, let's not attack the civilians. So they're not doing anything to us. That's interesting. Well, it's befitting for a citizen. But we've definitely sided with the slaves against the Templars, and by proxy, the citizens are just as guilty as the Templars. Even though, nope, what the citizens might have done is just condoned behavior for fear of their own lives. So, no, attacking innocent, or quote-unquote innocent citizens. Let's try to avoid it. Hey, that one looks pretty ninja-y. Just appearing and disappearing in puffs of smoke. Okay. Hey, Temple Guardians with proxy bubbles around them. Temple Wards. So if you're playing a Spectre Summoner, all of the new monster types are probably going to be glorious to just experiment with, to see what is good, what is not good. Especially these, just having a ranged attack as well as a bubble. Seems pretty cool. Okay. So let's see if we can backtrack a little bit to the beginning. Instead of pushing forward and then having half of the level uncovered, because I think there's going to be a lot in here. A lot of variation in the terrain so far. Hey, there's some kind of burnt hounds again. They do leave burning corpses. Granite flask, that is useful. Some enforcers. And our very first Vile Orb dropping from the very noble Templars. It only seems fitting. Okay, another frightened citizen. Another frightened citizen. And there are some more foes. Another frightened citizen. There's quite some citizens out on the street. Well, they understand that being in the middle of fighting troops may not be the best place to just wander around. They might get hurt. They might really get hurt. Also, level is 42. I'm currently 42 as well, so I'm actually on par for levels. Which is nice. It's nice if I can actually manage to stay in the in roughly the correct level range. So that at least I'll be appropriately leveled for all the content. Even though in terms of gearing I might actually technically be undergeared here. Okay, let's leave the citizens alone. They're frightened, they just want to go home. There's more of them. Let's ignore them. Golem, behave. Yes. Okay. A bit, let's just backtrack again to the center of the square. On the other hand, there's a bit of a side area, so let's do that first. Might just be a dead end. Hope it's a dead end. Otherwise, too much branching. Well, that's the first time through, you really have to discover where the branches are, where the non-branching points are. And after that, you can basically optimize for just going through and not having to backtrack too much. This case though, we just want to see everything that the game has to offer. All the hard work that the devs put in to just make this look as shiny as possible. I admire it. Slow aura. Okay, that's from the boss there. More monsters that actively use curses is definitely interesting. Ah, oh, sorry, I killed civilians. Is that a war crime, killing civilians? Even if it's accidental? Accidental war criminal? Maybe? No, I don't think the surviving Karui are gonna put up a tribunal anytime soon. Hey, matriarch. You look purple, reddish. So let's just clear everything else. And then have a look at what the matriarch does. Ooh, and we're gonna level, that's always nice. Okay. Nothing here is tied to my damage taken. Okay, so actually doing some damage. I think this is the first time in quite a while that I saw my health move below half. Or move below 90%. Flame Mother. Okay, now you're all alone. So you just slap a little bit in melee. That's it. You were throwing bombs, right? Yeah, so if you're as the player, you're further away, then you have some bouncy bombs. So this fight, the challenge definitely seems to be in the add-ons, not necessarily in the matriarch herself. Okay, that one is dead. We got a skill point. Just increase our life further, just so we can accept a couple more blows than are required. So we can do things like that. Okay, that in my defense, that civilian looked like he had a pirate hat on his head. So he clearly looked dangerous. Ah, Ghost. Maybe you could have actually turned that matriarch into something more fearsome. Come on, stand still. Too late. Okay, and then we push the Fog of War forward. I think we're gonna end up doing a relatively full clear of the area. Just because, no, with some of the side areas accepted, we can actually go through and clear most of the content. Rather than needing to do lots of backtracking in order to get to some parts. I suspect there's going to be an entrance somewhere in the top middle of the screen, so I'm just trying to weave the way I do. So we see everything there is to see before we move forward. Because it would be a shame to miss too many of the uniques like the matriarch. Even though the matriarch is not really that exciting. Might be bugged. So I think someone mentioned yesterday that there was a unique somewhere that didn't do anything. That could have been the matriarch. Okay, 2 weight forts. Okay. I don't mind too much. Seems like it's all leading to the same place. The moat around the temple. Okay, nice. Hey, wow, you use Sunder. There's not a lot of mobs that actually use Sunder in the game, so that is nice to see. They just seem to throw rocks, doesn't really hurt all that much. And then probably this is gonna mirror the other side. And indeed, with a dead end over here. Cool. And yeah, that's just a dead end. Cool. Areas like this that are relatively predictable, I don't mind doing a full clear in order to see everything. But no, if it's twisty and turny and there's lots of backtracking, then I'm slightly less amused. But there, it's fine. But I wonder if the new Temple Guardians with the proxy bubbles, if they are gonna replace those things from the Dominus Tower as a favorite among certain Spectre summoners. Okay, let's just backtrack again, see if there's more. Probably this is gonna mirror with just 2 ways in. Okay, nice, we can actually just jump past little bits rather than having to walk around them. Nice quality of life things there. And a Flame Mother that also didn't really seem to do all that much. But luckily the density of mobs is increasing a little bit compared to some of the earlier acts. And of course, the bigger the groups are, the more fun it is to kill them. And in our specific case, the more efficient the life gain on hit is on the melee splash of Puncture. So we'll just have a very, very nice sustain going on. Okay, so here we're veering off plan a little bit. And I think this also broke the symmetry in the approach so far. And something's actually doing damage. Okay, ah yes, you. Substantial extra physical damage. I should have seen it. Why are you hiding behind the shields, you Temple Guardian? Yeah, see? Symmetry is broken because we got 2 bridges with 2 parallel lanes extending from the square. And here it veers to the right. So we just have to backtrack a little bit in order to see what's up with that. For those of you watching, wondering, like, hurry up man, hurry up, I want to see the boss fights, I want to see the boss fights, get to the next boss fight, quickly, quickly. Calm down, take a deep breath, I'll get there eventually. If you're watching this on YouTube, I was thinking to also have some highlight videos of the specific notable boss fights as well. So, no, if watching an entire playthrough, and especially now I did a lot of lore at the beginning of the video, no, then there's going to be specific videos of some of the highlights, while this is just the full complete journey. So depending on what you like, I'm trying to cater to all the different preferences here. Ooh, I skipped a couple. Okay, so what is highlighted on the map does seem to correspond with how much we can actually see on screen. Though, technically speaking, rectangular screen, roundish viewing angle, so this is just the nicely looking version. Okay. So there is an entrance. That means we'll be running around here for a bit to clear out the rest. We are currently 43, so 42 area, we are getting over leveled. That is one of the side effects here. But especially now an approach like this, it's nice to just see how it goes. Okay, so that's the Templar Court entrance. Is that just a dead end, or is there actually something in behind here? Okay, this is just a dead end. Okay, cool. Temple Ward, you have a shield charge. Can imagine a rare Temple Ward with some increased physical damage. They might actually be rather painful to deal with. But the Templar Court's entrance. This might be directly the boss fight, might be that there's going to be a room leading up to it. So let's see. Doesn't say level 1 or 2, but there is a waypoint here. Okay, difficult to see. It just looks like a guy. Okay, someone is slamming down lightning. You, right hammer. You look to be the one that's summoning the lightnings down on me. That's definitely a new kind of foe. That's the educator. Also music, no, got the choir, got things picking up, getting more towards epic battles. I actually like it. Let's see if we can turn the sound up a little bit more. So, like that. Just let me know if the music starts to drown out me talking. But I think balance is still good. Hey, that's enfeebled. Okay, I don't think I like to be enfeebled, so let's cure that. Okay, that's lightning beacon. Ah, that's so nice. Did we start in the middle, or is this just in the edge? That's the edge. Hallowed life flasks, one of my favorites actually. Most bleeding and chance to gain stuff on crit. It's nearly double the regaining, so that's good. Yeah, for now it's good. Maybe at some point if we become mana stable, just dependently mana stable, might replace it with a granite flask or something, but for now we're good the way we are. Hey buddy Elrion, I haven't seen you in a while. I think the last time I saw was Act 1. Seeing Mir in the middle of Oriath is interesting. Wonder if he's gonna say anything. Okay, and that's not a good roll.
Today's a fine day to kick corruption's filthy ass, right, Crusader? Any moment now, this holy spot's going to be buried in filth. The corrupted will pour in here, bent on eclipsing anything and everything that has been touched by divinity. I hope you're good with a shovel, Exile. Glory to the pure and mercy to the fallen.
Okay. Undead in Oriath, what has it come to?
I can't do this just yet.
So far so good. Ooh, exploding things. So far so good. But most of the time it's the last 10 or so seconds where things get hectic, and up till then it's just the warm up. Especially once things start to blow up corpses, that's usually where things get frantic. This guy's, 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second, done. And level 3 Elrion, that means we can get ourselves a hideout. Took me long enough. Wisdom. Okay, and unique boss deals 15% increased damage, has increased attack and cast speed. So, let's dive in. Okay. So I think this is a different picture from when we entered. Wonder if there's gonna be demonic hellions. Some nice books and things. I like this place. It's a bit like the Elrion hideout, but with a reddish sheen over it. But it looks nice. Oh. Transportation. Let's see, 43, that makes the previous area 42. And this is also 43. Okay. Hello there, tentacle miscreations. Don't think you quite belong in a church, but a corrupted side room of a church, that makes sense. Also, steel skill gauntlets, that is the kind of gauntlets I would have liked to use. Back in the middle of Act 4. But they're still okay. But they're not 4 linked, that's unfortunate. Given the fact that I'm slightly over leveled, let's see if we can speed things up a little bit, especially in side areas like this. Just do some damage to the larger packs, and then I hope that bleeding will just take care of the rest of them, and just focus on getting to the boss. I mean, there's no lore significance to this; it's just an extra side area. So let's just have a look. Okay, boss. Let's see. Is this gonna be a new boss? Commander of Flesh, that's
I can't do this just yet.
That's an existing one. So they have reused this one. Just like they reused the Dust Scrabbler thing that we saw in the earlier one. Sacrifice at dusk. Okay. And that gets us back here. There's a door here, but enough enemies that just a single war cry got us fully charged up with the bullet charges. And it of course got us the attention of everybody. Right, just double checking, but yeah, still no resistance penalties. Freeze you when activated and mirrored items. Let's just take anti-freeze before we open it then. Let's see. Augmentation. Flaming coring of sparks. Twice, because mirrored. Okay, this definitely looks like the sidelines. The side rooms, or whatever they would be called. Just so many of them. I like it. This is very satisfying to go through. Really hope that the rest of the content is gonna be like this. Just lots of enemies, different abilities. And I wonder if you're playing a non-tanky build, then the experience is going to be completely different here. Ah, nice. Golem is now cast when damage taken bound, which is nice, since it will then just auto appear as required once it's dead, because it's pretty good at tanking. And it's easy to forget, especially in the thick of a fight, to recast it, because most of the time I'm focusing on my life bar and to an extent my mana bar, not necessarily whether I still have a golem buff up in the corner or not.
I believe in traveling light.
But traveling light, let's empty our pockets. Utula.
Something?
Hey, there was another lore bit. More lore bits, that means we listen. Let's see. So this is not a strict upgrade, so whatever. This is the good. base type, I think. Only 3 sockets, but then again we also have that on the other one, so it's not too bad. Let's have a listen to the lore.
So you made just the Carcasticus see the light, did you? Couldn't have happened to a nicer fella. Yet now I've an even more charming chap for you to make the acquaintance of. He's over at the Chamber of Innocence, beyond the Templar Court, and I bet he's just dying to meet you. It's High Templar Oriath I'm talking about. Although he's so filled to the eyeballs with innocence that it's hard to tell where the man ends and the god begins these days. Well, that's good news for us. Kill the man, and you kill the god. And what are the Templar without their god? Lambs in a slaughterhouse.
Okay, seems straightforward enough. Let's have a bit of a look. Anything better to score here? Open source, again, so no 4 links, so it's alright. 5 sockets are starting to appear in the stores, that's also good. Oh, of course, chance has it. None of the types I'm looking for. And then we'll more currencies, and then everything else will just plop down right there. Wait, there was a life flask that at least we should try to roll into something useful. Well, removing burning would be lovely. Frost and chill, good utility, but not really on the life flask. Burning, wow. And recharge when you take a crit, sure. So still no instant flask, but at least we have a large amount of life recovery from flasks. If you combine that with all the passive regen we have, it's good. Ah, more lore.
When I was a courier for my father's house, I'd cross Cathedral Square 100 times in a day. On the fairest days, that square would be filled to bursting with Oriath's highborn, come to bask in the sun and each other's glowing nobility. It was a pretty sight, depending on where you stood.
Okay, and Valenta, you don't have anything to say about the matter. Okay, then we go on. Murdering Templars left and right. Yeah, I'm definitely happy I went for a tanky build, because I think getting swamped with folks like that, and then also those lightning charges on top, for a caster it might be a bit more adventurous than it feels right now. Yeah, they're actually inflicting quite some damage there. And I like the music. I really like the music here. Okay, connects back to the sidelines here. My current assumption is that the way forward is going to head towards the top, so that's why I'm trying to clear the side areas first. And then each time just loop back to what I think is going to be the main way forward. Could be completely wrong about it, of course. But I don't have much more to go on than assumptions. Okay, this seems to extend a bit more than I would expect from a side room, so let's double back and see if it doesn't actually happen to end there. Okay, looks like it might actually... Okay, we're actually going around the corner. It's not the side room anymore. A decent 2-stone ring, that is also very lovely. Okay. Tone of the area changes a little bit. It's like benches to sit on, though they're pretty high up. More benches, so okay, this is probably where they stood and preached. Or if you were to tell me this is like a courtroom, that also works, though one does not necessarily have to exclude the other, of course. Okay, just the cars. Okay, we're just doubling back. That is convenient. Let's see, side room or side room. Let's just keep going in the direction we were for now. Not enough information to decide whether we're going forward or sideways. Okay. And now we run into a limit. Good. Okay, gained another level. More life, more armor. 1700 life, that seems pretty decent. How are we in terms of armor and evasion? So evasion is slowly dropping, armor is slowly going up, and that's of course heading in towards the Marauder area, buffing my armor, not my evasion. I think the time to switch from to actually enable the iron reflexes is probably getting closer and closer now. Because we're no longer giving up as much. Hey, hello there, bringer of fragility.
You die rather well.
Let's see. The golem, if we bump it, we will have to manually cast it again. So for now, I think we'll just keep it as it is. See, and in here, let's do a similar thing for the molten shell. Just for now, while we're leveling it, so if we accidentally level one or the other, we'll actually see it if we can't use it anymore, or if we suddenly have to manually cast it again. Exactly, that's very tempting, but I don't want to dismiss it, because then I will forget to actually level it later. Once we can. Well, for now, if we just keep it there. Hey, hello there, Ala Tariel. Thank you for the follow. There's rooms there. But where are the doors? On the side there. Missed it. Okay, it's a little corner, right? It's close enough. Let's backtrack and let's just clear that. Well, we're nearly full clearing the entire area here. Might as well. Okay, reflect. Okay, reflect hurts a little bit. Getting surrounded by about 2,000 mobs hurts more, I suspect. But with all the leech and life gain, we are completely ignoring it. Which makes me very happy. And that gets us to a full clear. Well, at least it gets us to reveal the map. That's maybe a better way to put it rather than full clear. It's not a full clear until every breathing or non-breathing enemy lies dead. Or destroyed for the things that never lived to begin with. Okay, so I have to walk around here a little bit, but it's not too bad. But it's a big U shape. Indeed, there's just one way forward. Okay. Tension in the music is rising. Wonder if that's intentional or accidental. And there is the door. Okay, let's pick up the currencies. And then, Innocence. The Chamber of Innocence. This is probably where the big fight is gonna happen, so here goes nothing. Oh. Wait. Okay. Lots of very colorful lore panels. Hey! Breeze hands! I recognize them. And a waypoint. Okay. Find the High Templar and kill him. Just lots of descriptions and things all over the place. Just wander around a little bit, just have a look at it, just to see if there's anything. Hey, there's actually foes here. What? So 43 area. I'm 44 right now. Blessed Sisters, those are new. We had Holy Mothers before, now we get Blessed Sisters. And let's not forget, there was a Staircase of Swords a bit earlier. Okay, definitely not mana stable yet with Puncture. Okay, what do you do? Well, die. There's something up there. Can we jump? We can jump. Oh wow! Whoa! That was quite a lot of damage even for me. And so far I have been tanking through most of the things. Temple Educator. Prayer Guard, that's also new. They look completely covered in runes. Extra fire damage, resists fire. Makes sense. Let's see, Justicar, Blessed Sisters. Can't but help but think that I'm getting drawn away from that staircase I saw in the beginning. Which I initially thought would be the staircase to the boss fight. But now that we're just wandering through this massive church-like area, not entirely sure anymore. Elemental Reflect, it's a physical damage build, I don't care. See, oh, that was just the golem, that was not a foe. Okay, let's just take out the casters in the back first. Golem is having a private party down there all by himself. I think we'll have to go back there. Mobs don't seem to be smart enough to realize they have to go upstairs here. Like that. Okay. I do like that this level does seem to have multiple heights where we're fighting at. There's lots of ways that you can use the terrain here, because you can just jump to the other side and basically you're instantly free from any melee attackers. So if things get too intense, now you have an out. That's always nice, especially playing on hardcore. If you're playing a less sturdy build, having an out seems pretty good. Okay, longer drawn out corridors like this, to me they always signal that it's the way forward. Could also just be a side room so far. Not entirely sure of it. At least I'm definitely happy I've got life gain on hit on my AoE attack, because without that I think I would be suffering quite a bit. Interesting. So we've got a statue here of Kitava getting skewered. Having seen some of the fights that are coming up ahead, I know there's some significance to it. But then again, a lot of the things around here don't have any significance to me, at least. Not yet. But I definitely think this is going to be one of those areas that, especially on your second, your third, your 10th playthrough, you're gonna catch little details that you can place in the wider context of the entire story, and it will become even more significant. But they definitely have a lot of damage going on here. A lot of damage. Let's see, get another one of those massive groups going. Let's see if I don't instantly try to slay everything, how our life bar behaves. Temple Scholar, I think that's a foe I hadn't seen before. Okay, so a lot of prayer guards if you don't do anything. Let's see. Damage, it starts to mount up rather quickly. Of course, now keep in mind, we do have a decent amount of life regen going on. But yeah, having some form of sustain or being able to keep your distance in order to just not get hit at all is very useful here. At least that's how it seems to me. This is also a pretty large area. I'm just basically keeping to the exits, just going counterclockwise around the outskirts of the map. But this is pretty big. Considering we started over there. So I wonder if we're just circumscribing the center arena and just now going in there, a door will slam shut and we'll have a fight. That would be nice. Also means that right now I can just wander around a little bit, just kill some more fools. Okay, this seems to be the bottom of the map. tone of the music is once again a bit different. Some battle drums and things like that, but it no longer has the epic choir feel to it. Okay, you don't really get a chance to do anything, just getting stunned. That's not a problem. Guys. Okay, actually I hit an end here, so it doesn't connect flawlessly back to where I started. Interesting detail. But there is indeed, in the center, there is a door to the next thing. Of course, it makes me wonder, most of the areas, they do have their own separate unique. So does this big area have its own unique as well? We will see soon. So the cosmic damage taken hasn't leveled yet. Slow to level.
I can't do this just yet.
Just need to wait once to make the gems roughly in sync, and after that I think they should stay relatively okay. The cosmic damage taken setup. They should stay relatively close to each other. Okay, now we can just move through the middle. Okay. Having a Stipnite flask to just blind the things around you, definitely not a bad choice. Or if you're getting mobbed, just giving everybody a 50% chance to miss you. Pretty decent for staying alive, for just not getting damaged in the first place. So it's a 43 area, I am currently 44, so I am slowly overleveled. I'm getting closer to 45. So maybe I should once again just switch from clearing everything to killing everything. Okay, so it doesn't connect because it's basically just a bit of like a snail. Just you spiral into the center. In that case, let's go to the Sanctum of Innocence. On this horse kind of thing.
Must be cleansed of impurity.
No. Okay, just hits me. Slower, more telegraphed attack. Charge attack. How much damage does it do? Okay, so that's actually interesting one. But the cleave followed by an explosion of sorts. Okay, it's something. Ah, there. So, how much can we tank here? If we're just gonna naively face tank this, can we do that? Oh, fast charges.
My spirit is spent.
Okay. Quite a number of them. Okay. Damage doesn't seem to be too severe yet. Okay, that explosion is something you don't want to get hit by. That was fairly significant. And Innocence has been reborn. Ooh, ooh. Okay. One more combo. Of that guy hitting you, followed by Innocence hitting you. That's well painful. Yeah. So those statues you want to watch out for. Ow. Okay. How much damage is there? How many of these statues can he summon? Okay. You can use the statues that are there to just hide from the beam. Jeez. Okay. So face tanking that stage, not the best of ideas. As is to be expected, of course. But no, we're just trying to see what the limits are of things. And we definitely can't face tank that, at least not with a regular leveling setup. I mean, if you're on your second or third character and you have a fair number of better items, then maybe you can. Prayer guard in there, unique one.
I can't do this just yet.
Okay. If it resets, you don't have any statues to hide behind, but then again, if you played enough of the piety battles, then dodging beams is something that should come pretty naturally. Okay, let's just dance. Especially in this case, now we just put our totem down. Also, itself, Bulletstorm, we have things to hide behind. Playing hide and seek while a statue is there, that's interesting. So, instant heal potions for this fight, definitely useful. But there's a lot of stuff going on, there's a lot of elements to think about. And so far, there's no unfair mechanics yet. The dangerous things are telegraphed, the Bulletstorm comes with its own cover mechanics, the beam moves slow enough that you can move out of the way. This is all very nicely designed. Okay, you're now a bit faster, a bit more enraged. Putting down a War Chief totem while working on this works. Yep. Let's not get hit by the big explosion. So, So that statue was still alive when he was doing the Bulletstorm. Here, have yourself a totem. And you can just focus on me. Leech you, poison you, murder you. And Innocence is no more. Wow. Hello. So we don't see Sin from the backside. I wonder if we killed him somewhere more to the top, if you had flown in from the side, and we could have seen actually what Sin looked like from the front. I am Sin, the Forgotten One. Would that humanity could forget all of my kind. Perhaps, with your help, that might still come to pass. For now, the blinding light has been dimmed, and darkness clambers to fill the void. Kitava is that darkness, an eclipsing flood of filth and corrupted desire. The light of life itself will go out if Kitava's tide is not turned back. Kitava is a tidal wave, insatiable, unstoppable, but for one thin sliver of hope, my brother's sign of purity. Look to it in the choking passage of Templar reverence. It shall be your torch when night falls at last. Okay, what if we stand here and then talk to him? Aha! Fall of Oriath. Though I am a god, I have not forgotten my humanity. I care for that which I was once. Kitava remembers nothing and cares for nothing but his hunger and greed. He is an endless pit of gnashing teeth and churning guts. While other gods rise on the mainland and fight for the meager scraps of what was, Kitava has the most vacant and formidable civilization of his age at his disposal. He can feed when he likes and grows ever stronger with each morsel. All of Oriath shall soon belong to Kitava. If that happens, he will rise beyond even our reach. That's the quest. So, the sign of purity. Deep in the Templar's ossuary, in the company of the dead, there lies the sign of purity. Innocence bled himself for the creation of that cruel and desperate weapon. Tempered in his own ruby ichor, it was forged to be a transcendent tool of punishment and purification. The sign is a living agent of righteousness, or at least the dubious kind of righteousness that my brother subscribes to. Innocence found the first High Templar a most faithful servant, gifted the sign to him so that it might be used in times of great need. The great need of innocent believers, that is. Humanity's general well-being has never been of a particular concern to my brother. The sentence didn't really go all that well, but works fine enough. And there is Sin with blue glowy eyes. But it was a nice fight. I enjoyed it. And if you're playing this with a spellcaster of sorts, then you're gonna be at range. So dodging the beams is gonna be more difficult, so you'll need to use the terrain a bit more. Yeah, this is gonna be an interesting fight. This is definitely going to be an interesting fight. Let's head forward to the Chamber of Innocence now. That's the exit from the Sanctum. So let's have a chat with the folks in town and see what they have to say. Lani.
You deserve recognition for what you have done. You've freed us from Templar oppression. Yet I fear you may have defeated the lesser of two evils. Still, take something. You'll be needing it in the dark times to come.
Ooh, a body armor. A hybrid body armor. Thank you.
Once Kitava has gobbled up every scrap of Oriathan flesh, sucked every Oriathan bone dry of marrow, he'll turn his endless hunger to Narnach and the whole Karui archipelago. As you know, the Karui will fight, and they'll fight hard, but they're going to need all the help they can get. And I know of 3 treasures that might just make the difference. They were taken when the Templar raided Narnach. A whip woven of Hinekora's hair, a tooth that Tukohama ripped from his own mouth, a fishhook that was once the jawbone of Valakor. Together, they're known as Kitava's torments and lie within the reliquary that borders Oriath Square. I saw them with my own eyes when delivering messages to the scholars there. Please, go to the reliquary and claim those treasures before Kitava's children do.
Okay, interesting.
I can't yet begin to unpick the lies that Utula has told us, but this piece of truth I do have. Utula sensed that very moment when you struck your final blow, when you broke the Templar's power. He turned to me and told me this. Now our king comes to us. He'll be hungry, so very hungry. I shall prepare him a feast.
Uh-oh.
Then he gathered his followers and left. Where's he gone? Oriath Square. You won't need directions. Just follow the screams.
So that was the guy that was standing there before, the vendor. He spoke about Kitava in a positive light before, so is he there to greet Kitava? That would be unfortunate. Unfortunate indeed. Ooh, 18% chaos resistance. Ooh, decent life. Triple sockets, not linked, but... And of course no word of reflection. Bit of life, no resists, better defenses. Yeah.
Remember,
Let's just
we
keep
do this
stashing
for
stuff. Eventually I'll just end up with a full stash of things that I'll have to look at some point. But currently just having too much fun and I just want to continue with the story rather than focus on upgrading gear. Or stuff that's potentially useful. Okay, so that was a chat with Lani. Valenta, do you have anything to say?
Hello.
You have quite some things to say.
I told you so. What more need I say? The sign of purity, yes. A discry staff that piety sent me to study at one point. Apparently it was a gift from innocence to the first High Templar, Maxarius. Dominus couldn't even bear to touch the thing, so he had it locked up in the ossuary. Quite reactive behavior for a man of such formidable intellect, yet now it's making a little more sense. The staff was certainly able to conduct and store energy, yet remained inert when I applied corruption to it. It must only respond to divine energy, and with corruption and divinity being diametrically opposed, it's no wonder that my experiments failed to excite the thing. Meaning, if the sign of purity is a repository for the power of innocence, Dominus could never have wielded it, being steeped as he was in the opposing power of the beast. You, though, you're a different matter entirely.
Okay, a little bit of foreshadowing there.
People have talked about the return of the gods since the birth of Oriath. It's a gambit employed by charlatans to fleece the weak-minded and morally desperate. Or so it seemed. Avarius and his Templar drones now greet the dawn filled with power and glorious purpose. Kitava has risen from whatever ethereal cesspit he's been hiding in for the last few millennia. So what let the cats out of their proverbial bags? I'm a scholar, not a prophet. Yet there's one occurrence that absolutely reeks with evidential causality. You killed the beast.
Oh no, it's all my fault.
You really don't have a strong grip on cause and effect, do you? Things replace other things. It's the most fundamental of laws. The larger the thing you remove, the bigger the rush to fill the space that's left behind. Innocence was the nexus of power in Oriath. Remove him and something of equal or greater power was always going to take his spot. Any idiot could have predicted that Kitava was going to be that something. Unless, of course, you thought it was going to be you.
I like how sarcastic Valenta is.
Dominus adopted Chittis Cathedral as his personal laboratory. He decked it out with everything his miraculous mind could conceive of. His great work in Psalm, that which you destroyed, it all began there.
Okay.
Freedom comes to those who fight.
Yeah, Kitava's Torments.
For freedom.
Easy peasy. Time to move forward. So, travel to the Chamber of Innocence, and a side effect is going to be to go to the Reliquary. Okay, so we used to have waypoints. Now we don't. Hey, a new NPC.
What in
called
damnation
Bannon.
have you done?
Sorry?
You've destroyed him, and yet I hear the voice of innocence, begging for our forgiveness, asking for our help. You and I. I heard him the moment the High Templar fell, whispering inside my damn skull, his heart beating within my chest. Innocence protects us now, holds fast the door against the murderous tide that rushes to meet us. He wants you to pass through that door, to bring order to the chaos beyond. I don't understand any of this. Moments ago, I was just a soldier obeying his High Templar, banning the nobody. Now, my God lays inside my head, telling me to let you through that door and to make my way to Overseer's Tower, if it still stands. It does? All right. I don't know what's waiting for you out there, but should you survive it, I'll see you at Overseer's Tower.
Okay, yet another person that just wants me to clear the way for them.
You've destroyed him and yet...
Okay, no extra conversational options. Okay, so, let's see. The Torched Quartz. Okay. Level 44 area. Caught up, but I'm nearly 45 now. Just everything's burning. Okay, looking for a way out. Let's see if there's any new foes here. Heretical wards. Kitava zealots. Okay, that's a change. Sanguine sisters. More Kitava zealots. Crimson scholar. Okay, they've got horns sticking out of their face. That doesn't appear to be all that healthy. Okay, definitely more damage coming in as well. Okay, that's Leap Slam that will level. Okay, let's have a look. Another skill point. Bit more life, bit more armor. It's 1800. Nice round number. Focus Amulet, Radical Ward. Dice fine enough. See, on the way here we knew that the road was kind of U-shaped, so logic would suggest that the way out is going to be a similar shape. Okay, just a corridor with some rooms attached to it. That's fine with me as well. Okay, definitely a lot more intense damage going on. Stuff raining from the sky. It's the wards doing the casting. And Sanguine Sisters, they have some kind of blood lightning stuff. No, that's the ward. We'll see. Trying to connect the different effects to the different enemies, but if there's just so many different foes at the same time, it becomes difficult to connect cause and effect. Eventually we'll isolate them and things become more clear. But how the mighty have fallen. From the dominant religion, just snuffed out once their god dies. Only to be replaced with more zealots. That's funny how that goes. Okay, what are you? Bringer of Bones. Okay, high level temp change, that's always nice. Okay, back into the central court. Okay, the orientation is different. I think this used to be at the other side. But yeah, this definitely is not a happy place. Things really have been thoroughly upset and wrecked and ruined. The way forward seems to be indeed roughly here. Okay. Hey, is that the dragon fireball? That's the dragon fireball. I approve. Also maxed out turquoise amulet. That is also nice. As a crafting base to this. But that said, I am pleasantly surprised that, well, given the fact that most of my gear is from the middle of Act 4, and not great gear at that we're still basically able to just push through. Of course, it also means that if you're better geared on your second or third character, then this is gonna be probably a pretty easy place to go through. Corrupting Blood. 4 stacks doesn't appear to affect my life. I like life regen. Okay, oh, that was a way to the sides. Anyway, I overlooked it. Players have elemental equilibrium and monsters have fire resistance. I'm mostly physical based, so elemental equilibrium doesn't really do much for me. Got a little bit of fire damage as a side effect of the Herald of Ash, but meh. Let's see, Ancestral War Chief. Let's see, level 45 area, I am 45, so that's still okay. Vaal Bone Wardens. Let's see, pick up some resistance here. And then make a bit of a stand. No corrupted side areas, I like these, just wandering around a little bit, but I'm not gonna go for complete full clears. Oh, that's a ghost. A bit of luck, it might actually possess the boss. Come on, do your best. Come on. Yes. Commander of Flesh. And that is a dead one. Elder Swords, you say? No. That's just one-handers, okay.
I believe in traveling light.
Ah, yes. Highland Blade, that seems relatively level appropriate. And a Vaal Righteous Fire. Well, for finding it in the burning remains of a corrupted religious court, seems appropriate. I like it. It's of course complete happenstance, but it's nice happenstance nonetheless. Molten Shell. That's now at the same XP status as the Stone Golem. But Cosmic Damage Taken is also about to level up, so soon they will all be ready to be leveled again.
I can't do this just yet.
Okay. Lots of stuff burning. Frame rate is not entirely happy with that. It feels slightly choppy. Then again, lots of burning things has always been a weakness of this game's engine. Feels like I should have reached the exit by now. I think the way in was about this long. Then again, randomly generated levels. The way in and the way out, they might not actually be the same thing. And there it is. Okay. My feeling was pretty spot on then. Ruin Square. Okay, that was a bit of a distorted thing in the background. What was it actually? Cup your hands, children of Kitava, drink of the hot, sweet wine of Oriath. Let us stay ourselves from the feast no longer, for our king is ravenous. Ah, that's Utula, who's ravening like a madman. There's a lot of corpses out in the street for what? No, in normal time this would have maybe been an hour or so since you went out and in. Ooh, twisted effigy. That's a statue of sorts that came alive. Let's see. Next level for all of these is 44. So more regen from the golem. I like it. Reminds me a little bit of those things from the mines that also have many hands and legs. Is it actually holding its head in its hands? It's holding its head in its hands. That's so funny. Okay. Definitely just large groups of foes here. Let's see, what if we get surrounded and not actively try to murder them? They're doing fairly decent damage, but yeah, we just have a lot of regen here. I think thanks to the life regen I can push forward with poorer gear than other builds could. Though the risk of running into a boss fight where you just get insta-splitted, that risk is very real. Okay, waypoint unlocked, that's the center one. So we got the ossuary, then we probably have the reliquary on the other side, and then the way forward on yet another side. We got a full pocket, so we might as well empty it. Oh, there.
Yes.
Let's see, anything. Highland Blade. It's a next tier weapon. Might as well keep it. Just
Remember,
because.
we do this for freedom.
I thought we did this for fun. That one. Okay. Again, lots of stuff we can get away with not having it for now. Do you actually start selling gems at some point? No, still not.
Remember,
Okay.
we do this for freedom.
Ah, Balan is in town.
We're glad you made it. No, damn it all, that's just too strange to abide. I'm glad you made it. And innocence tells me I need to keep helping you. So that's what I'm going to do. I know my way around weapons and armor, and all things Templar if you should want for further enlightenment on that subject. As for innocence, I don't know. Sometimes he makes sense, other times he's a shattered god, but he'll heal. I'll make sure of that. Lani's told me a little about Utula and his cult of Kitava. Enough to know what Utula's got planned. Bring about the fall of one god so he can raise up one of his own. And this Kitava, from what fragments I can piece together from innocence, he's not the benevolent kind. Please, find Utula and stop him. I'm not saying this because I want to put innocence back on his divine throne. I'm saying this because Oriath is my home. It's made some mistakes, but it doesn't deserve the fate that Utula has in mind.
So Banon's tagline could probably be, I'm not crazy, I just have a god in my head.
I'm having a little trouble explaining it myself. I've never been the most devout of men, especially for a Templar, more of a soldier than a believer. But now, innocence himself rests within me. His voice is weak, barely a whisper, yet still he has the power to keep us safe from Kitava's hunger. At least for now. For my part, I'm simply grateful. Grateful that I have a god watching my back, and grateful that he's given me the power to watch others in return.
I wonder if there's gonna be some kind of development with Banon.
For a long time now, I thought my god's intentions were being twisted by his supposed servants. Did I speak up? No. The pyre would have been my only answer. I did what I was told and drew the lines of morality where I could. Now I understand the truth. It wasn't Innocence's intention being twisted. It was Innocence himself, perverted by the selfish convictions of the men and women who worshipped him. A god answers to the believer, as the believer answers to their god.
Interesting perspective that gods are not things that only have their own will and do what they want. That actually the faith of the believers shapes the god or malforms the gods. That's something you don't often find. I'm very curious to see where this is gonna go.
A sign of purity. Let's see. A staff bathed in innocent blood. No. Sorry, bathed in the blood of innocence. Yes, Innocence gave a part of his divine self to the thing, and gifted it to the Templar. Now that I recall, I read a tome about it when I was a cadet. Bloody long time ago. I skipped most of the boring pages, so only remember the bit where High Templar Maxarius smote with flame the army of the faithless, with one ray of its hallowing light. The book's words, not mine. Outside of my humble flesh, the sign of purity is about all that's left of innocence.
Okay, sounds useful.
Devotion should be honored, I suppose. For centuries now, the Templar have boiled the flesh and skin from the devout, and presented the polished remains for public appreciation in the ossuary. Personally, I think it's one of the better ways to remember those who have gone before us. To touch the bones is to remember neither the legend, the legacy, nor the lies. It reminds you that those bones belong to a man or woman who was just like any other man or woman. I'd be lying if I said my hands were clean of slavery's blood. I was a soldier. I went where Dominus ordered me to go. I sailed with the expedition to Namakanui, killed Karui warriors, and rounded up Karui captives like every other bastard in a Templar uniform. So I don't blame Lonnie for wanting to take back her freedom, and I don't blame her for believing Utula's lies either. I certainly swallowed enough of Dominus's falsities to sicken my soul. It's what we do now that matters. I can see that Lonnie's heart is in the right place, and for once in my damned life, so is mine.
It seems like Namakanui is another place where we haven't been yet in the story. Because of course, in the story we start on Rayclast. Now we're in Oriath. And Namakanui is yet another place. I wonder if either in some of the future acts or in maybe, a yet to be designed Act 11 or something, we're gonna zoom out even further and see even more of the world. Either way, last of the Lorbits.
To be perfectly honest with you, I don't trust her. Yeah, I've got my reasons. Piety kept her work pretty quiet, but her results were brutally clear. The people she took, the people she changed. Slaves mostly, and a few enemies of God. Enemies of bloody Dominus, more like it. I don't go in for black and white definitions of good and evil, but with Piety in her ilk, I make an exception. Whatever's lurking inside Violenta, it ain't good. Not by a long shot.
Okay, so we have our offender. In chat, Camilleri confirms that Namakanui is the Karui homeland. Which makes sense. Would be interesting to go there though. I mean, all the events happening here, stuff might be happening in the Karui homeland as well. Let's see, anything in here that is worth of instant pickup? Nope, no 4 or 5 linked items.
Good luck out there.
Oh. Everybody has an opinion of Bannon, of course. Let's hear it.
Bannon claims that a god now lives inside his head and talks to him. What's more common? Divine possession or insanity? I'll leave you to calculate the odds.
Yeah, that's basically what I said.
Bannon is unexpected. At least, he's not the sort of Templar that I'm used to dealing with. His ideas about innocence almost make sense to me. The way he worships innocence and receives such power in return, it's like his devotion actually brings out the best in his god. But how is that possible? A god is a god. They bless us and they punish us, not the other way around. Yet for Bannon, somehow it's different.
Exactly. So I wonder, the Pantheon system of course is to make its appearance at some point, so maybe Bannon is going to be part of the key to that.
The King's Feast is an ancient ritual born of less enlightened times. Long before the Karui followed the way, one tribe would conquer another and a feast would be prepared for the triumphant king. The main dishes of this feast were selected carefully for the sweetness of their nature and the tenderness of their flesh. You see, when the conquered fills the belly of the conqueror, two tribes become one. And that's what's happening out there in Theopolis right now. The tribe of Kitava is feeding upon the tribe of Oriath, and the feast won't end until two tribes become one.
That's... makes sense, given the background here.
Remember what Utula said about Kitava? He is the tormented one, destined to rise up from the darkness, and we, his children, rise with him. It was there all along, in eyes too bright and smiles too wide. Cunning concealed by kindness. Conquest wearing the mask of freedom. I didn't see it because I was looking for something else. Hope. The cult only wanted what it's always wanted. To be born again in their father's image. They are Kitava's children, the first of his tribe. Unless you do something about it, they won't be the last.
Oh, then let's do something about it. Sorry to hear that the game has that your laptop has issues handling the game, Alatario. It definitely gets graphically intense in some situations. Okay, Ossuary. That is where we're gonna go next. The Boneyard. Ooh, Bone Church. I like this place. Okay, we've got big skeletons. And Mosul. Pay attention to the different new enemies, but well, bone churches like these, they actually exist in real life as well. In Rome, I know there's one. The Capuchin monk bone church. It's an interesting sight to behold. Just rooms completely decorated with human bones. That's not something that you see every day. It is special. It definitely captures the atmosphere pretty well here. Hey. Another thing that doesn't really have its head quite on its head, but instead have it more on its tail. Yeah, see, there's a head on the tail, and then just a big mouth instead of a head. Yet some other folks mentioning that reminds them of other different ossuaries they've seen, like the Paris catacombs. I've been to Paris, but I haven't been in the catacombs there. But I've heard that is definitely something that is worthwhile to see. Okay, so these are just ghosts without legs. Compared to the madness of the fights outside, the ossuary seems to be relatively calm. And it's not graphical madness, but just more in terms of just how intense the fights are. It's only a handful of mobs at a time, and they don't seem particularly threatening.
I can't do this just yet.
I wonder if this is meant to be more of a slightly less threatening area, so they can crank up the excitement in the next area. Chat remarks, there's no living Oriath people in there, so no need for chaotic battles. Fair point, fair point. These Oriathans are nice and quiet. Let's see, it's a 44 area, I'm 45, that might also help. Hey, Damoy Turi! He's alive. Alive and kicking. Just a random rogue exile in Oriath. So I'm not the only one who came back here. Some other rogue exiles have followed. Oh, Elrion also made his way over, so... Tomb of the First Templar. And there's a sign of purity. Wrought from blood and gold, innocence fashioned a weapon of tempered purity. Capable of banishing darkness and bringing order to the chaos in men's heart. Okay. And then we can use the thing to go out. Ah, this is the same circular pattern as you often see in the labyrinth. Just a one way with a quick return path. I think it's a more elegant design than what Diablo 3 does with the teleportable stones at the end of a dungeon. Because this feels more native to the world rather than a game mechanic. And we're back into the madness. So, you were just hiding behind the statue. There's a ghost here. See if we can send it somewhere. Okay, I don't think so. Okay, this is a no-go area. So, the main quest is now to move forward to the cathedral rooftop, but the side quest is to look for the reliquary, and somewhere, oh, this is the ruin square, and there's also an Oriath square. .44 area still. Yeah, and also what chat says, inside of the ossuary there's no flesh for the cult of Cthulhu to gnaw on. It's just bones. It was a nice moment of quiet as a variation for the more intense fights. So, oh, you don't appreciate the ups without the downs. Let's just double check the quest things here. 3 mystical artifacts and a reliquary. I'm assuming, yeah, it's tied to here, so it's gonna be branching off somewhere. I think we came from the top somewhere, so it makes sense if it was somewhere down. Then at least the directionality of the map and things like that makes sense. Okay, this is just a dead end. Okay, but a bit back, there was a side area. It could be that, of course, that the reliquary is there. On the other hand, it might be connected to the main square. We'll see. Just gonna run around here. It's also interesting that the shields are insanely tall. And also these just looking holes seem to be taller or above eye height. So I wonder if they come with small step ladders to stand on so you can actually look through the shields. Yeah, and in chat, Oberon remarks that for all the visual intensity of the fights, enemies don't seem to be doing all that much damage. That is indeed due to the sustain tank that I've got going. If I get myself surrounded with a group of mobs and I just don't do anything, and you see, no, they do some damage, but yeah, I've got quite some life regen going on, 150 per second. And on top of that, I have a fair chunk of mitigation as well. Though, yeah, without upgrading my gear, that amount of mitigation is getting lower and lower.
Did you think our vengeance was done, Savior? Oh no, it has only begun.
Okay. Utula! With the help of some backup. So let's take out everything else that is not Utula. Okay. He's currently a little ignited. Ooh, summons scythes, that's thematically cool. But yeah. Not entirely impressive in terms of how powerful this dude is. Okay. So yeah, we grabbed that. Armor Mastery over here is going to be a nice one to go to, just with the eye on getting more armor. That said, we picked up Iron Reflexes earlier and it wasn't quite useful at that point because I just lost too much evasion. In this case, I'm boosting armor by much more than evasion. It's only 26% now, so let's see if we pick up Iron Reflexes. How much is that gonna transform our armor? It'll be close to 1600. Yeah, just over 1600. So now we're just pure armor and we no longer focus on evasion. Okay, but Utula, he was just here and he was not a gatekeeper of sorts. He was just a side thing, just almost like a distraction. So let's make a quick town stop, actually have a chat with Bannon and get a reward. Let's see what we can get from there.
Freedom comes to those who fight.
First, let's empty pockets. Int, fire damage, energy shield, that's not quite the Lapis amulet I would like. Poor movement speed, poor life, no resists, that's also not a keeper. Okay, nice and easy. Sell everything and move on. Bannon.
The High Priest is dead, yet the object of his devotion remains. There's no doubt you did all right bringing that man-turned-monster to heel, but you weren't able to stop him fishing his master out of a river of blood. Damn. Sorry. I never could get the hang of boosting morale. Didn't seem right to polish the edges off harsh facts. Probably why I never made captain. Still, I've been poking around here for a bit and have turned up Utula's stash. Quite the magpie he was. So here, help yourself. When it comes to hunting a god, I suppose every little bit helps.
I suppose it does. Hey, and we get another jewel. Ah, these are the jewels that you would normally get from cruel crypts. Oh, makes sense. Extra melee weapon range seems interesting. Especially considering the alternatives aren't actually terribly great. Let's see, anything terribly shiny for sale, or can I keep on resisting? Oh, 5 sockets on a Hussar Brigandine. That seems worth picking up. Definitely seems worth picking up.
Blesses your journey.
So let's put that one away. Let's have a quick look. And then we probably don't have an essence to go with it. We don't have a thing here. So we'll just stash this in with the other box of items that seem like they are useful, but that I just can't do much with for now. And then we go back into the ruined square, looking for the reliquary. And after that, Kitara. Yeah, see, but if we don't do anything, then there's plenty of damage coming in. It's just the sustain tank is pretty nice here. It's funny that it feels like with this Slayer I got a stronger sustain tank going than I ever had with any of my gladiators. Which is weird because the gladiator is a shield using class and this is a two-hander using class. You would expect this one to weigh more towards the offensive side rather than the defensive side. Reliquary, that is what we were looking for. Okay. Ah, a waypoint. Nice. What? Living busts. Oh, these are funny. Risen Saint. Okay. So far all they do is just float over and just try to headbutt me. Again, what more can you expect from a reanimated statue? If they would start casting spells, that would be slightly odd. Ah, Vengeful Souls over here have a wand attack. And these skeletons simply attack as well. Okay. So far nothing truly fancy or shiny in terms of things, but again, probably haven't seen everything yet. Okay, everything keeps zooming in. Why are there weapons floating in the air like that? Could it be part of some kind of attack that was prepared by something and then it got killed before the attack actually got unleashed? Might be. One of the downsides of moving forwards and just leaving the damage over time effects to kill things is that if they actually drop some shiny loot, you have to go back and actually pick it up. Okay. So far, stick to one edge seems to work. Got a suspicion, oh, this feels a bit like the library. Might have a dedicated unique of itself. On the other hand, we have to find 3 of Kitava's torments. So it would also make sense if each of the torments had its own guardian. Just to spice things up a little bit. And differentiate it from the collect 4 pages quests that we have in the archives in Act 2 or Act 3.
I can't do this just yet.
Okay, Corrupting Blood. How many stacks can we... 7 stacks and our health remains stable. I like it. Yeah, but it seems like monsters here are, again, just more down-tuned compared to the chaos that we have outside. Well, on the other hand, if you have enough desperate souls, I think might get interesting enough anyway. Okay. What's the area level? 44. Okay, everything seems to be around 44 here. Well, this being a slightly more difficult, or a side area of a 44 area, you would expect it maybe to be 45. Ah, we just have a rare here. Might be coincidence, it might be a guardian. Just have to pay attention to the other rooms to see if there's a rare in there as well. There's a relic case, and we get Tukahama's tooth. The belly cannot hunger for what the eyes cannot see. Interesting. Okay, so that is one corner. See, we came in over there, and this corner is one of the relics, so it might stand to reason that the other two corners of the map would contain the other relics we're looking for. We'll see. Not always everything has to be perfectly symmetrical, so it might be that they're just scattered about and it was just happenstance. Well, on the other hand, sometimes logic works. Valako's jaw. One day you eat the fish. One day you feed the fish. Nothing lasts forever. Okay, can we jump? Oh, can't jump there. That's too bad. Okay, some vengeful souls, some risen saints. All in all, the foes are no. Ooh, ghost. Follow the ghosts. Well, a ghost that's more ghostly than some of the other ghosts. Let's go with that. Okay. And there is the last of the relics. Karui relic case. Hinikora's hair. What we steal in life, we repay in death. There's a bit of a karma feel to it. Well, the whole idea of divine judgment. It's, but no more worded in a more down to earth way. Okay, but we've been going around the edges, and the question is there something special in the center? Or not really? Even Bonds of Chaos. Well, of course, Chaos damage, for us to understand, it's tuned for 0 resists, and well, we have a 0 resists, so that makes sense. But yeah, this is pretty close to a full clear. Anything over here? No, there's more regular mobs. Okay. And let's go back to town and give the stuff to Lani. Hello, I got some things for you.
Not all slaves believe Dutula's lies. Some I know have managed to steal a ship and are soon to set sail for Namakanui. Hopefully, with these treasures on board, Valakor will bless their voyage and breathe deeply into their sails. No, I'm not going with them. I helped bring this curse down upon Oriath, so I'll help save what little there is left to save. Here, take something, in thanks for your part in preserving the Karui way.
Ooh, skill point and 2 respect points. I approve. And Yeah, Oberon remarks that it's honestly surprised you don't fight Kitava cultists in there. I would have thought they would want the relics as well. No, they are indeed bound to the gods, though. I guess the Kitava cultists are maybe more specific to just Kitava rather than the entire Karui pantheon. So from that perspective it makes sense, but on the other hand, if they're completely insane cultists, then they might want to actually destroy those relics. So would have made sense, and it might have actually spiced things up a little bit, but then it would have been more too samey compared to all the fighting that happens outside. Let's see, Trilink, yeah. Okay, cool. Just all kinds of stuff that we can just sell and stash. And I suspect that the devs intentionally went for some more intense areas and some more quiet areas in order to prevent it from just feeling like one big grind. Yeah, skill point. Yeah. So yeah, picked up iron reflexes, got a decent chunk of armor. Can always be more, of course, but need more better gear for that. Yeah, so this is kind of the point up to which I had plotted it, and then I figured, no, we'll just see once we're there. I think next up is going to be armor mastery. That's hit chance is still good enough, so we don't need resolute technique. And armor mastery, it's going to be a nice defensive bonus, and also gets us close to diamond skin. So when we need it, we can grab the resists. I figure diamond skin is a nice counterbalance to losing that first chunk of 30% resistances. Okay, so we've been to the ossuary, we've been to the reliquary. Then let's access the cathedral rooftop from the ruined square. Okay, let's have a look. Cathedral is somewhere closer to the top. We came from there, we've been there. We came from the top, we've been there, so then bottom left would make sense, I suppose. Pick up a Shrouded Shrine and just push for. I mean, we are currently level 46, so we're slightly over leveled. So I'm gonna move through things a bit faster in order to just get to areas with higher monster levels. Because otherwise, if we're too over leveled, then it becomes more difficult to judge if the fights are fair or not. Ah yes, we had a big square, and somewhere to the left there was a big building. Okay, suddenly everybody wants my attention. Sure. Okay, so before in the center of the square we had the mother. See if there's maybe another named unique here. Not in the same place. So let's just push forward to over here, because I think this would be the entrance. Oh wow! They painted Kitava over what probably was Innocence before. They definitely have a lot of crazy people here. Angry people, at least. Hey, did we just zoom out a lot? We did. We actually zoomed out. And now, Time for the cathedral rooftop. Okay. Use the sign of purity to defeat Kitava. It's happening. Well, of course, first we're gonna have to deal with some regular mobs just to get into the spirit of things. Hey, Wailing Widows, temp change on hit. That's a new kind of foe. Some regular statues. It's a 45 area, so that's just means I'm only one leveled, over leveled. Some nice burning stuff down there and a corrupted side area. Elemental equilibrium and monsters do extra damage as lightning. The side chapel. On the rooftop. So far I think in most of the areas I've actually found a corrupted side area. Which is nice because that way we can actually see all of those. This is a 46 area. Okay, and then just push forward again. Can we... Can't jump. Doesn't seem like we can jump at least. Bunch of righteous fire or unrighteous fire foes. And removing curses, that is also rather useful. I like that more monsters use curses and degen effects and things like that now. Oh wow, that's a lot of damage that just came out there. Of course. Ah, burning from nearby unrighteous fire foes. It looks like the regular burning icon though. Oh wait, that's my golem and my clone, okay. Let's see, hey, ghost. You. Let it linger too long. Comment from chat. Bolt looks pretty solid for now, slow but nice. Do you think you can push the game far with this? I hope so. I mean, I'm currently... My main attack is a 3-link. My AoE skill is a 4-link, but one of them is a melee splash. So, I don't really have the proper gear to do a lot of damage right now. Hey, hello again, Commander of the Flesh. But despite that, I do tear through most of the uniques and things like that. I can sustain in most group fights. And most of the gear I'm using is either from Act 3 or Act 4. There's not a lot of gear I picked up here in Act 5. So if you properly gear this, I think it's gonna be much stronger. But no, if you properly gear this is the key wording here. Because, first character in a league, I don't have too many Duelist orbs, don't have too many fuses. And I haven't been really lucky in finding too many orbs of alchemy either. So it's difficult to make good items or to just roll lucky rares. And so far, slow and steady, I am still managing to just push through through the game, and it's all good. Hey, Kitava's Herald may inflict bleeding. So, if you're a bit more lucky in the gear you get, or if you just trade for some better gear, then yeah, this should be a fairly nice build. Oh, in this case, I'm just playing regular standard league here in the beta, so there's nothing that prevents me from trading. But no, the exception that I've been playing solo self-found for basically most of the game. Just traded little bits and pieces in the past. I'm never really too fond of it. Path of PoE.trade. PoE.trade made it doable, made it very efficient. Not feel like you're wasting your time too much, but I don't think PoE.trade is up for the beta yet. Or might be, just haven't paid too much attention to it. And right now, if things are good, I'd rather progress than spend time trying to trade for gear. So, and yes, I do plan on adding multi-strike to my Viper Strike. I actually have it here already, just along with some other support gems, but I just don't have the links to add it in. So, no, once we get better gear with better links, then it should be good. But no, that's it. I'm personally pretty surprised that I've managed to make it this far with this poor gear and still just come ahead pretty well. Oh yeah, okay. More armor. So 45 area, I'm 47. And there we have a salad. And Camilliali confirms there's no API for the beta, so no PoE.trade. But not having trades, there's some trade channels. So if you really want to trade, then well, you gotta use the trading forums on the official forums, or use the in-game trade chat or whatever. Personally, I'd rather play solo self-found than bother with that. I think, well, once you've played through all of the beta content, ooh, there's a small gap here. Once you play through all the beta content, then if you want to build specific character builds with specific uniques especially, or specific jewels, threshold jewels and things like that, to test out specific mechanics or interactions, then I can understand that getting access to trade is probably useful to just help you find those specific items faster. Okay, Katarina's up ahead. It's a fitting place for a necromancer. What do you want me to do? Kill 2 dead monsters. Okay. Let's backtrack a little bit to help you. Those are on the other side of the wall, and there we are, a reanimated skeleton. Oh, come on, don't run away, you silly, cowardly skeletons, you. Okay, let me bring you back. Wow, Katarina's so worried about you. So I wonder, if you don't go to Katarina, you just bring these along, because they don't have a corrupted aura. So if you bring them along to the Kitava fight, then you might actually have some minions with you. In this case, level 3 happy Katarina, yes please. That's the second master for the hideout, which I still have to set up, but those are details. For now, completing Act 5 is more important. Once I do finish up Act 5, I'm gonna stop streaming for an hour or two, just fix me some dinner. It's nearly 7 o'clock and I haven't actually had anything to eat since lunch. And there is a doorway. That probably leads us to the final confrontation. Okay. Cathedral Apex. So, this is going to be the Kitava fight. Let's see how it turns out. Okay, use the Sign of Purity to defeat Kitava. Let's put it in the Cradle of Purity. It seems very conveniently located there. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Man, that guy's big. Okay. He only uses one hand, the other one he keeps to his chest. Okay, if he gets hit by this, how painful is it? It's okay. Ooh. Unwavering? Okay, get burned. And down he goes. Bye bye. Well, part of the monster comes out of the thing now. Also, he actually has his other hand now. He only had one before, now he has two. Gee. Okay. So that attack, for builds that might not be as tanky, that's probably gonna be lethal. Okay, he does telegraph his attacks. Damage over time there. Gee. I think I had less than 100 health remaining there with that strike. Just putting down the totem. Totems are just a nice way to deal damage when you're not there yourself. But yeah, he just hits for 1700 damage or something. And that's against a character with so much 1800 armor here. Okay. Okay, next stage. Champion of the Feast. Okay, that's just one unique and the other ones are just regular mobs around it.
I can't do this just yet.
Just trying to keep my defenses up here. So far, seems okay. The unique. Oh, there. Okay, Kitava's heart. I think I took about a quarter of it out, and now it's back in. Okay, but if he's gonna get any more pissed off than he was before, then this is gonna be a long fight. Oh, and I should have dodged that one. Okay, got him burning. Oh, that's nicely telegraphed. The burns start from the outside and they go in. Ah, heart. Just finishing it off where it came from. And we have two of the feast. Oh, it's now Shaman of the Feast. So far, so good. Shaman, yep. Come on, where are you? There you are. Okay. And thank you for the follow, Sketchbook. I think the uniques are out, so now we can just focus back on the heart. Get to the heart of the matter. Also, ow. Okay, getting close to half. Okay, wow, that's not even halfway, I think. That was about 2/3. Kitava the Insatiable. Ooh, whoa, 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 whoa. So that's a nasty combo, and definitely you need to pay attention to what's happening here, because the combos, they're very well telegraphed. Okay. That one goes again, then it comes back. More demonic than before. Oh, you're pretty big and scary. And we have reached quote-unquote cruel difficulty. So that was a fun fight. That was a very, very fun fight. So yeah, Act 5 so far, I like it. Let's see what Sin has to say. There's no shame in falling to a god. Shame lies only in refusing to rise again. And you shall soar, that much I'm permitted to foresee. You shall ascend to the peak of your loftiest mistake. And there you shall sow again what you have reaped. A ship sails for Lion Eye's watch, not far from here. Be on it. Sin does speak a little bit in riddles. But that heralds in the end of Act 5. So, Cathedral Rooftop, that takes us back. Let's go to town and have a look at what people are saying. And also let's have a look at chat. Thanks for the good luck wishes. And indeed, the glass cannons are gonna hate that boss. But on the other hand, glass cannons, if they're doing enough damage and they're just good enough at not getting hit, then that might actually be a pretty nice one to just mow through. But something like my Flame Blast, which is definitely gonna have more issues with it because you don't have the tanking power and you need to stand still for the clears. So that's gonna be interesting. Let's see what people have to say.
You're still alive. So is Kitava. What more do you need to know? You'll find a way. I believe it.
Oh, that's
Remember,
pretty
we
realistic.
do this for freedom.
Kitava is a primal deity, forged from the most fundamental of human desires, hunger. The simple act of craving that which we cannot yet consume. To defeat Kitava is to squeeze the very heart of human nature into stillness. You don't think you can do that? I suppose we'll see, won't we?
I don't ask this in the name of innocence. He understands now the folly his devotees have wrought upon this world. I ask in the name of Oriath. There are many that deserve what Kitava offers, and there are many more who do not. Put an end to Kitava's savage reign, for there remains much in this land that is worth saving.
Okay.
We live in interesting times.
Interesting times, you say. Okay. 24 elemental resists and 10 chaos resists. No life. We'll just hold on to that one.
Don't ever give up.
But that, I think it concludes our business here. Let's move down to Cathedral Rooftop. Ah, yes. Let's take the ship back to Recklast. So that's just next to the waypoint. And we got Lily Roth over here. So we will end the episode here and also the stream. With that, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed Act 5, I certainly did. And next up is going to be Act 6, back to Rayclast, a alternative take on Act 1. We've lost some resistances, 30 to all, so that's a little bit more balanced than the 20 and 40 that we used to have for Cruel and Merciless. But it does mean that we have to improve our chaos resistance a bit, we have to improve our elemental resistances a bit. And yeah, I'm sure that will work its way out. But for now, thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you again next time. Bye bye.